Welcome to Epic Conversations. I'm Diane, and we're here today with my very special guests and friends, Dr. Delron and Peggy Shirley. And they're good friends of ours. Dr. Delron and Peggy have been in ministry for over 40 years. They have their own ministry called Teach All Nations. They have written a book. Actually, they've written many books, and you can check that out on their website, Teach All Nation Missions, which I'll upload when we do the book. We're going to be talking about your home can survive in the 21st century. And we've done a few episodes already. And Dr. Delron and Peggy have traveled the world. They've done so much. They've been pastors. They've help people with their marriages. They've just a wealth of information that you are going to be so blessed. And we also would like to say, if you are enjoying these episodes, please subscribe to this channel and follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, and share it with a friend. We appreciate you. So we are going to continue our discussion on the personalities. We've got the spirit, soul, body, and we're highlighting the soulish portion because we do have a soul, and when we get married, we get two different ones, husbands and wives. So we've got to somehow learn how to blend these together. Mm-hmm. And they do talk more about this in their book, which I'll share on the upload. So go ahead and let's pick up where we left off from the last session.
Yeah, in the last session, we had started doing the disc, and we'll have the chart of that in a little bit. But the first personality we talked about was the D, who is a direct, demanding dictator, decision maker. And that's because that he is very task-oriented and at the same time very outgoing, or she. And then the next quadrant is still outgoing, but instead of being task-oriented, is very people-oriented. And Peggy was sharing a little bit about that.
Okay, we can have our chart, please. Well, a lot of you are saying, hey, I sound a little bit of everything. Well, number one, what do you like at home? I try to be the D at home, but he doesn't let me, and he shouldn't. But when I'm in a situation where I'm in charge of something at work or when I was a pastor, I kicked in. And like I said, each of these have strengths and weaknesses. And don't think, oh, gee, I wish I could be a D. No, you are what you are. So I am an I, which is the complete opposite of Delron. You could probably figure out what he is, but that'll come up. So I personality, very interesting. Interested in people. I love stories about, movies that are true stories. Why? And it goes, for Pete's sakes, because I'm so interested in people. And remember, at the other segments, we talked about raking the leaves. Well, yes, I'm not a slob. I do help my husband. I do, but I'm more people-oriented. Do the leaves tomorrow. Well, that's the problem. Thank God for him who's organized. We do the leaves today, or we never get them done. So now,
tomorrow never comes.
Right, tomorrow never comes. So now I understand he is very task-oriented. I'm very people-oriented. Now you say, well, is that your excuse for being lazy? No, that is my signal from God. Peggy, he's very task-oriented. Are you going to keep him happy? Then you better get moving in gear and get off the phone or get out there. And like I said, with us, the I's, we love to talk. We're very verbal, life of the party. Now I've been good for him because he can be quiet, conservative. That's hard to believe. But when he's around me, I get him moving. So the problem with the I's is when you marry your opposite, usually they're not as talkative, and we could talk too much. We can interrupt without realizing it. Men need respect, and one thing that Delron has told me is you're not respecting me. And I said, I don't get that, because you're always interrupting me. And why should I talk? Because you're not quiet enough to listen. Well, see, we're not even aware of that. Another I would say, well, yeah, that's what no, not everybody's like that. And you can really be like sandpaper to someone that's quieter. So what I do, and Delron knows I'm not perfect at this, but I do, now I know him. He's quieter. He is, there's times to talk, there's times not to, but when he talks, I really try to do this, and it's hard. But now I think, and when I accidentally interrupt, I say, oh, I'm not even aware of it. I say, I'm sorry, you weren't finished. So you see, there's this give and take thing. But now I don't say, gosh, he's just, all he wants to do is work. And he goes, all she wants to do is talk. You see the difference now? And we'll get into these other things. It makes such a difference. Now, this is for marriage, remember. So more couples have said to me, oh my gosh, that is my wife in a nutshell. She just irritates me. Now I get it. She can't help it. Now, that's not an excuse not to get in there and clean the house or whatever. It's to know, yes, we are outgoing. However, we're married to our opposite. He wants the house cleaned. He wants dinner on the table. When he talks, he wants us to sip it, as he's giving me that look now.
Well, we're on an epic conversation. We're supposed to be conversing. But let's go around the chart. We have the D, who is a director, decision maker. I, who is interested, outgoing. Then we have the S. The S, out of all the terms that start with an S that would describe that person, the one that is the most characteristic is servant. Because this person is people-oriented and at the same time reserved. Not outgoing, but reserved. We have a lady who works with us a lot of times on our mission trips who is the textbook S personality. She is very people-oriented and she's very reserved. We came home from a mission trip one time and Peggy was sharing at the church about giving a testimony about what happened, and she called on this lady, and she's gave her some accolades. She did such a great job, blah blah blah, and I was watching this lady. She's just shrinking and getting smaller, and could have crawled under the church pew if she could have done it without making a big scene, because she's an S personality. S personalities don't need the applause and the accolade. An I personality, oh yeah, you got to have, oh, look, when our boys were little, I would tell the boys, didn't mom make some great hot dogs tonight? Because the I personality needs that public accolade. The S personality, that's the last thing an S personality needs. An S personality needs somebody to just quietly say, you really helped me out. That was a real blessing what you did. Because it's reserved and it's people-oriented. Not you did a great job, but you helped me, you see. And so we had the D, the I, the S, and we always say you save the best for last.
Okay.
We saved the C for the last because the C personality is the one who is cool, calm, collected, concerned, conservative, calculating, figures things out. And I told you before that I worked for Lester Sumrall, and that he was a classic D personality. Well, a D personality needs a C personality with him, because he says, bless God, we're going to get that C-130 even if I have to go talk to the Vice President of the United States to do it, okay? So, that's the D personality, but he needs a C behind him to figure how do you step by step calculate to get to the place to where you can convince the Vice President to make an exception for you.
May I have the floor for a second? Okay, can you conceive where this could be a big problem? So he has his list. He cannot go to bed unless his list's done. I have a list that he's taught me how to make, but I usually lose it, or if I don't have the list done, so what? Can you see the clash here? So I understand, Delron, that's the way it is. So I said, what are you doing? I've got one more thing to do before I go to bed. That's him. I don't sit there, oh, that is so dumb. Why is he so uptight? That is my husband. And I appreciate that about him. When he comes home and my desk is a mess and I've lost my list, it could drive him crazy. but I'm interested in people, and I didn't have time to get my desk, and who cares about it? I was over helping the neighbors move or whatever. Can you see? So you understand the differences, and instead of nagging them and just saying, okay, I appreciate that about you, and I'm not going to sit there, Lord, are you different? You are. But then you respect each other, you see. Now with him, I'm good for him because Delron is a workaholic. He likes to work because of his task, and he's very goal oriented, which is wonderful task. But he could be boring. He could stay in all day. He could write his books morning, noon, and night, which he does. If I don't get it, let's go walking. Let's have fun. Let's have some people over. Can you see how we can complement each other then?
And actually, that's a great segue into the most important part of putting this chart into the marriage. Because normally we attract the opposite. The negative magnet attracts the positive magnet. And so you're attracted to the person who's your opposite. And that's God's plan. Because the person who's over here, who's an I personality, fulfills the thing that the C personality is missing. The S personality fulfills the thing that the D personality. And as you live together, you draw one another closer and closer to the center. She said she's learned how to make a list from me. You see, that's one thing where I have been able to draw her closer to the center. And she says that she encourages me to be more social, which draws me closer to the center. In the book, we have the space. I don't have the time today, but we can see that Jesus was a D personality. We can see that Jesus was an I personality. We can see that he was S and a C. And he, according to Galatians 2:20, it's no longer I that lives, but Christ that lives in me. And if Christ is living in me and he is all four of those, then he can manifest his life in me, bring me closer to the center where that I am a complete person. I have a book in which I talk about maturing into the full stature of Jesus Christ. And that's one of the points, is that we are getting to the place to where we don't focus on, well, I'm a D or I'm an I, but we come to the full nature of Christ, which is all of those in their very best, and we are brought to that center. And that's why that we have opposites attract, because she helps me, I help her, we all help one another to get more into the nature of Christ.
And we appreciate our differences instead of criticizing. That's a key.
Yes, that is a key. And Jesus is well-rounded.
Yeah.
He's got us all in the palm of his hand.
Yes.
And that was an excellent example, appreciating the differences instead of getting irritated by them. Although sometimes it gets irritating when
We
you
don't feel it.
But as we grow and mature, we learn to appreciate the differences. That can take your marriage to a whole new level.
Yes, it can.
Thank you so much for sharing. This is awesome. And there's more in their book. Your home can survive in the 21st century. It's possible with God. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you next time. We've got more episodes with Peggy and Delron. And in the meantime, have an epic day in the Lord.